Dear students, welcome to English class again. Last class was about there is a girl by the tracks. A lesson, a story written by Devin Kanal, in which we came across two persons. One is Baleshwar Mishra and another is Roma Talreja. Let me draw your attention towards all the paragraphs that were taught in the last class. Firstly, in the first paragraph we came to know about daily situation in Mumbai. Regular scene in Mumbai. It is described as regular scene. Regular scene refers to overcrowded or crowded railway stations. People swarming in and swarming out of the railway coaches. All coaches will remain packed every day because commuters move every day. That is in the first paragraph. And first paragraph also tells us about Roma and her age and her job. She was an executive at a call center. Then we also come to know that she got into a railway coach which was crowded and she was not able to stand properly, she was not able to balance properly. As a result of that, she fell off the to the railway track. Actually, she made a mistake. Whichever vehicle it is, if it is crowded, we should not get into it. Be it a train or a bus. Even on bus, we see that sometimes our own students stand at the footboard and invite danger. So she did a mistake. In my opinion, she did a mistake by standing at the edge of the train, and she fell off very easily. See, even others could have fallen off. There were many people, but only Roma fell off because she was standing at the extreme edge of the train. So she fell off. She became unconscious. And when she fell, it was noticed by another man, that is Baleshwar Mishra, who was in a train which was moving in the opposite direction. All the people in that train saw the same incident. They saw that a girl had fallen by the tracks, and they started making noises. They shouted loudly and all that. But only one person came forward, only one person volunteered to help her. So without wasting time, Baleshwar Mishra pulled emergency chain, a red emergency chain, and made the train stop. Now, whether pulling red emergency chain is a mistake? No. In this case, it is not a mistake because it is for a purpose. But all of a sudden, if you pull red emergency chain and for no reason, they will definitely fine you. They will levy a heavy fine upon the passengers if it is pulled for fun sake. But here there was a purpose. He wanted to save the life of a stranger. So he pulled it, train stopped, and Baleshwar Mishra showed a lot of concern towards that girl, fallen girl, and he jumped off the train, and by jumping he sensed a lot of pain. He got his rubber slipper torn and all that happened, and he suddenly started running towards Roma Talreja, or the spot where Roma Talreja had fallen. But in between he said, I am not too late. He believed that something must have taken place to that girl, or she must have got severely injured. So he was hoping that she was all right. With that hope, he started running towards that girl and where the spot she had fallen. And upon reaching her, he asked, Behenji, aap theek hai? See, a stranger addressing another stranger as Behenji. See how polite and courteous was this person, Baleshwar Mishra. So, but he did not get any answer. That means she had already become unconscious. That is about the 6th paragraph. Then in the 7th paragraph we come to know that she got a very deep wound, a gash on her forehead due to falling, and he lifted her up. So finding no aid or no help nearby, because they were in the middle of two different stations. There was no building, there was nothing around decided to lift her up and take her to the road in order to get some emergency help. And paragraph 8 also tells us about Roma Kalreja's background, her biodata, and what she did on that day. She has been working in a call center as executive for 2 years. She loved her job. She always wanted to have fun with her co-workers, and that day she arrived very early in the morning, and they spent time in a cafeteria, their office canteen, in the evening. That was Friday, and in that cafeteria they planned for their weekend, that is Saturday and Sunday, how to enjoy Saturday and Sunday. And she was engaged already. She was engaged to a person called Vijay. It is fiance Vijay. Till this point we have studied. Now in this session we are going to continue the story, just to know what happened to her, whether she remained alive or she lost her life. So let me start from the paragraph 9th. Baleshwar Mishra has a very different story. A lanky youngster from Mirzapur, UP, is an unemployed high school dropout who had recently come to Mumbai. So Baleshwar Mishra's story was entirely different. He was a lanky youngster. Lanky means a thin and tall person. He was from Mirzapur, UP. He came to Mumbai. Why? In search of a job. So he was a high school dropout, unemployed person, not having a job. High school dropout. What is the main meaning of dropout? Dropping out does not mean he was pushed out from the school. Dropout means a person discontinuing his education due to many reasons, due to failure, due to poverty. Sometimes poor parents push them into child labor. Reasons may be many. So when a person discontinues his education due to some reason in the middle, that is called dropout. So he was a high school dropout. Recently came to Mumbai in search of job, living with his two elder brothers. His elder brothers had already come to Mumbai and they were working there. So he joined them very recently. His job hunt had proved fruitless. His job hunt, he was looking for a job, but that attempt proved fruitless. Fruitless means useless. Fruitless opposite of fruitful. Fruitful means useful. So he was unable to get any job in Mumbai. Now he was treading water. Now presently he was treading water, making no progress. He was not able to get any job in spite of searching. So, and had resigned himself to the fact that he was running out of options. So he thought that he was not getting any job in spite of searching in many places, because first of all he was not fully educated and he was new to that place of Mumbai. He had spent his day with a friend, grabbed lunch and watched a movie. On that day, that particular day, on December 10th, when this incident took place, he spent all his day with a friend. Then he was roaming around with a friend, grabbed lunch. Grab is to have. He had lunch in some hotel maybe, and watched a movie, afternoon show. They went to a theatre and watched a movie. As Baleshwar boarded the train home, he pondered over his future. So where was Baleshwar going that evening? He was going back home. After the movie, he was going back home. On the train, he pondered over his future. He was thinking about his future, what to do next, what is going to happen next. But all he could think now was saving a stranger's life. Now his main intention was to save that stranger's life. Innumerable motorists drove by, some even slowing down to see the young man struggling to hold the blood-covered woman in his arms. When Baleshwar reached the road, he was seen by innumerable motorists, a number of motorists. They were driving by, they were passing by. What did they stop? No. Some were slowing down their vehicle in order to see what has happened. So they were curious to know who is carrying, who is the victim and all that. But nobody was ready to help. Nobody was coming forward to help. Just when he had begun to lose hope, a tempo truck driver pulled over and its driver, a middle-aged man who spoke Gujarati, stepped out. So Baleshwar came to a conclusion that nobody is going to help me. He was searching for help. He was pleading people who were around him to help him. He was pleading the vehicle drivers to stop their vehicles and help them to carry her to hospital, but nobody stopped. At that moment, luckily, a tempo truck, goods tempo truck, pulled over, stopped there. Its driver, a middle-aged man who spoke Gujarati, a Gujarati person, stepped out of the vehicle. He slowed his vehicle, stopped his vehicle, and stepped out of his vehicle to see. Help me, Baleshwar pleaded. Upon seeing that driver, Baleshwar once again cried, help me, please help me. Baleshwar pleaded, requested, and the man helped Baleshwar lay Roma down in the back of his truck. And that man helped Baleshwar. See, another stranger. See, meeting of three strangers here. Two strangers and another is the truck driver. So they did not know each other. They have never met each other. But still, they were ready to help each other. See the situation. So he helped Baleshwar to lay Roma in his tempo truck. Baleshwar was quickly telling the driver what had happened when a traffic policeman arrived. So Baleshwar explained him what had happened, how he carried this girl and all that. At that time, a traffic policeman arrived there. The on-duty traffic policeman came there. Take the girl to Airoli, suggested the cop. He understood the situation and suggested Baleshwar. Policeman suggested Baleshwar, take this girl to Airoli. Airoli is a place in Mumbai where there is a hospital. Suggested the cop, there is a hospital there. There is a hospital in Airoli. To take her, she is injured, But Baleshwar disagreed. Baleshwar said, no. Airoli was at least 10 kilometers away. See, Baleshwar's presence of mind. Even in that confusing situation, he was able to judge. And he said that, no, I am not going to take her up to Airoli because it is 10 kilometers away. It will be too late. Her injuries are severe. Her condition is critical. There is a closer place I know of. I know a closer place where there is a hospital. See, though he was not fully educated, he was knowing every nook and corner of his place. Even though he was from UP, he knew many places in Mumbai. See, he was a great observer. So he knew that there was a hospital nearby. 10 minutes later, they arrived at a small hospital where nurses helped take the young woman in. A few minutes later, very quickly, they arrived at a hospital where all the nurses got together and they helped Baleshwar take that woman in. What to take somebody in? Take somebody in refers to admit somebody, join somebody. But as the facility lacked personnel and equipment, the on-duty physician wasn't able to do more than giving basic first aid. But that hospital lacked personnel. Personnel refers to staff or experts or surgeons. It was a very small and general hospital, and it did not have equipments to conduct the surgery. So only the physician was able to give her basic first aid, bandage and all that. He advised that she be moved to a nearby hospital. That on-duty doctor advised them to move to another hospital, nearby hospital for more treatment or quick treatment. Baleshwar and driver had no choice but to move her back into the truck. So once again she was brought out of that hospital, and once again they loaded her to the same truck and they started moving towards another nearby hospital. When the vehicle lurched forward, so they were about to move. When the vehicle starts, it moves once. So when the vehicle moved once, when it lurched forward, Roma stirred. Roma was also moved, and her eyes fluttered open. Due to that movement, she opened her eyes, fluttered open. What is your name? Asked Baleshwar, who was with her in the back of the truck. He was sitting just next to Roma Talreja. Upon opening his eyes, without opening her eyes, without wasting a second, he asked her, "What is your name?" Roma, she managed to grind out is to say something with great difficulty, with great effort, because she was already injured, she was in a lot of pain. So she, said, "My name is Roma." "Whom can I call? You tell me about your relative. Whom can I call?" He asked quickly, fearing that she would black out once again. See, he did not have time. Anytime she would become unconscious again. She will faint any time. So without wasting time, blackout refers to become unconscious. "My brother Dinesh," she said, slowly giving him Dinesh's cell phone number. Paleshwar memorized it and watched as Roma's eyes soon lost focus and rolled back into the darkness. So she said, "You can call my brother Dinesh," and Paleshwar was able to memorize all the cell phone numbers. Cell phone numbers carry 10 digits, And in that situation also, in that hurry also, he was able to memorize, because if you are not able to memorize, you cannot call Dinesh. And the very next moment, Roma Talreja, she got unconscious. So within one day, within one attempt itself, Paleshwar memorized all the 10 digits. That means he had a very sharp memory. So he memorized the number, and soon she lost her focus. She became unconscious. "Chacha, can I borrow your mobile?" Now he had Dinesh's name and number in his hands, but he did not have mobile phone. Very poor guy. He did not have mobile phone. And Chacha refers to the truck driver. He borrowed mobile phone from the truck driver. Borrow is to take, opposite is a lend. Lend is to give somebody. And the driver passed him his phone. Dinesh Talreja was wrapping up his day at his marketing job at a retail outlet at Ulhasnagar when his phone rang from a number he did not recognize. So Dinesh Talreja, Roma's brother, he was wrapping up his day. He was closing his day's work. It was evening time, he was closing down his day's work. He was in a marketing job at Ulhasnagar, at a retail shop. When his phone rang from an unknown number. Whose number? Truck driver's number. "Dinesh boy," a young voice asked, "your sister Roma has fallen off a train and we are taking her to Divine Hospital Hansoli." Immediately he gave a emergency message to Dinesh Talreja. "Your sister has fallen off the train and she has become unconscious. Her condition is critical. We are taking her to such and such hospital. Please come immediately." "I am on my way," said Dinesh, rushing towards his bicycle. He also, without wasting his time, he rushed to the motorcycle, and he got ready to go there. Roma arrived at Divine Multi-Speciality Hospital and Research Center minutes later, a bigger hospital having many facilities. This is at Divine Multi-Speciality Hospital. Dr. Agarwal, the medical director there, seeing the extent of Roma's injuries, admitted her immediately to the ICU without any paperwork. The on-duty doctor there, Dr. Agarwal, seeing her emergency condition, admitted her without any paperwork. What is the meaning of paperwork here? Paperwork refers to filling up application and all those admission formalities. So she was finally admitted to the ICU, intensive care unit, emergency wing. He asked Paleshwar to hang around until Roma's family arrived. That's when they noticed that the driver, having done all he could, had slipped away with his truck. "Oh, I could not thank him," Paleshwar thought. So doctor said that we will treat her. Meanwhile, you hang around. What is to hang around? Hang is not to hang. Hang around refers to wait. He told Paleshwar to wait outside the operation theatre until the Roma's family arrived. And at that time, he noticed that the truck driver had left that place without informing him. he had disappeared all of a sudden. Why he disappeared all of a sudden? Did he steal any belongings? No. He left that place without waiting for any rewards, without waiting for any gratitude. Normally when people help, they expect money, they expect any favor, or they expect any credit of doing that work. They will pull their collars and say that I have done it, I saved her life and all that. But this driver, though he was not fully educated, he was selfless. Selfish is different, selfless is different. He was selfless. He thought that his duty was over. Anyway, Baleshwar is there to look after her. I don't have any role to play now. So thinking that, the truck driver moved away without telling anybody. So, but Baleshwar felt very sorry about it, and he thought to himself, oh, I could not thank him. I couldn't even thank him. I don't even know properly. I can't even meet him again. He thought. Roma was still unconscious, but her x-rays showed that although the injuries looked severe, all she needed were deep wound sutures. So Roma was unconscious, but her x-rays reports were they were looking severe injuries had taken place. All she needed were deep wound sutures. Suture refers to stitches. When a cut or wound is deep, doctors put stitches, you know that. There would be no lasting damage. She is not out of order, out of danger, doctor said. But Dr. Agarwal believes she could have bled to death had nobody helped her. But Dr. Agarwal said that if nobody had helped her at that time, she would have bled to death. Bleed, present tense, past tense is bled. Severe bleeding leads to death. Many of the victims die due to severe bleeding or not getting medical aid on the spot or emergency medical aid. But this would have happened with the Roma, but due to Baleshwar Mishra and the truck driver, this did not happen. Roma, she was beyond any dangers. So, when she finally opened her eyes that night, her brother and fiancé were by her side. And she could barely speak, she could hardly speak, and just nodded and fell asleep again. She just opened her eyes and said, nodding is this, moving your face up and down is called nodding. When Baleshwar came to meet her next morning, Roma was still partly sedated. Baleshwar came to meet her next morning, but Roma was partly sedated. She was not fully conscious, maybe due to medicine and Baleshwar had even revisited the spot where Roma had fallen, looking for her belongings because Dinesh had told him that her cell phone and handbag were missing. Dinesh said that she is having a mobile and handbag, and those things are missing. So Baleshwar revisited the place, searching for those things. Not far from the spot, a railway employee assured Baleshwar that some of Roma's belongings had been found. So he met a railway officer. He said that Roma's belongings have been found and they are in our custody. How are you feeling? Baleshwar asked Roma in the hospital. I am okay, Roma whispered. She could hardly speak louder. She just whispered. In a few days, Roma made a full recovery. She came back to normal. I can't imagine what would have happened if Baleshwar hadn't been there. She said, I couldn't imagine what would have happened if Baleshwar hadn't been there. What would have happened if Baleshwar hadn't been there? Probably she would have died on the spot due to bleeding, due to no medical care. She says, amazed to learn of the manner in which she had been rescued. She said this sentence, amazed, she was greatly surprised to know how Baleshwar carried her to hospital, how he moved from one hospital to another hospital in order to save her life. I think it's astonishing that a stranger would jump off a train and risk his life for me. It is astonishing, it is extremely surprising that in such cities, people jump off strangers jump off the train to risk their lives. I am new to I can never repay Baleshwar said. I can never repay Baleshwar. Can she pay 10,000, 15,000 to Baleshwar and say that thank you very much, goodbye? No, because life is priceless. When somebody saves your life, you cannot give anything in return, because life is not for sale. Life cannot be marketed. You cannot calculate the value of your life. So Baleshwar saved the life of this girl. I am new to Mumbai, but I have noticed that people here are afraid, says Baleshwar, who is still looking for a job. Baleshwar says, I am a new person to Mumbai, but I have observed that people in Mumbai are afraid. They are afraid of what? Baleshwar is still looking for a job. They fear, they are afraid of getting trapped in courts or with the police. When accidents take place, people stand there, they crowd around, they stand around the accident spot, but they seldom help the victims because they are afraid of getting involved in police inquiry and court cases. They do not want to fall into any trouble or trap. So why did he do it? Why did Baleshwar do it? Was he not afraid of a court case and police? Because she did it just because she needed help. He realized that that girl needed help. That girl was helpless. There was nobody to help. That's why he did it. Baleshwar puts it simply, that day it was Roma. Tomorrow it could be you or me by the tracks, bleeding and alone. So that day it was Roma. Today it could be me. Tomorrow it could be anybody lying by the tracks, needing help, and if there is nobody to help, that person will definitely die. So same thing can happen to anybody. So in this way, we come to know that Roma Talreja was saved by Baleshwar. So this lesson has a great message. Message is that whenever you come across any person in life, whenever you see any situation in your life where your help is needed, do not have a second thought. If you have what ability and capacity to help others, so make up your mind and help anybody in your life. Why should you help somebody? If you help somebody today, God will definitely send His representative in one or the other form when you are in danger. So always see that you help each other. So helping others is also a kind of worship. Going to prayer, going to temple, offering at temple, saying bhajans, prayer may not be 100% devotion, but you can show devotion to God. You can worship God in many other forms. Even by helping poor and needy, you are serving the Lord, because all of us are God's children. So make it a philosophy of your life, whether it is a small help or a big help, or to known person or a stranger. Always be a volunteer to help others. Let that be your philosophy of life. So thank you very much. Hope you have understood this lesson properly about exercises, and deal with it in my next class. Thank you very much.